Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pet Lovers Summit. I'm going to put my readers on here. I want to introduce you to amazing soul today. Our bonus speaker, Tammy Billups, is here with us today. Yes. And the title is The Emotional Wounds of Animals and Their People. And I'm going to read you her credentials. Tammy Billups is an international holistic practitioner for humans and animals, a certified interface therapist, which is bioenergetics, a global educator, an award-winning author. She's a pioneer on the animal-human sacred soul partnership and creator of the groundbreaking modality, animal-human tandem healings. Her work identifying the 5 core emotional wounds of animals is unparalleled. She has documented her findings on animals' emotional wounds in her first book, Soul Healing with Our Animal Companions. Tammy's second book, Animal Soul Contracts, reveals the sacred agreements that humans share with their animal companions. She has created learning modalities on both topics. Tammy, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Lena. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so honored that you're here. So I'm just going to let you unpack that however you want to unpack that. What do you want to tell us about the 5 emotional wounds?
Yeah, this was really fascinating to me because I went for a 4-year certification course to learn about the 5 core emotional wounds within people. And I thought, I'm just going to help people to heal their emotional wounds. And what was fascinating, though, is that as soon as I thought, I wonder if this stuff works on animals, and I started working on animals, and I would see their energy field, and I can see the defense patterns in beings' energy fields that correlate to a specific emotional wound, right? So
yes,
I'd be working on my friends' animals, and I would see maybe like the defense pattern of abandonment in the animal's energy field, and then I'd kind of pan at their person, and their person would have the same defense pattern, right?
oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, here we go. Is it going to be that way at every instance? And it was always mirroring their person. And so they're going to be healing those things together. And that kind of ended up being my area of research for many years. I mean, I've been talking about this topic of these 5 core emotional wounds within animals for maybe 10 or 15 years now, but I still find it so fascinating that I want to be able to educate people, or at least share what I've learned, so that people can help their animals and themselves, because they realize that they're partnering on this journey, this healing journey together, to heal specific emotional wounds.
Yes, it's amazing. And so basically you're saying that the animals and the humans, mostly when you're working on animals who are exhibiting these certain behaviors and issues, it's connected to the human.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And it's not, I love it.
I know. And it's not as if they are solely all about the human all the time, but it's likes attracts likes, right?
Magnet.
Yes. So we're going to call in beings around us that are going to push our buttons, or are going to, soak in our stuff and mirror it back to us. It's really fascinating.
Okay.
But I can tell you about a few of the more common ones, that I see more frequently within animals and their people. And we can kind of dive into that, and then maybe
please do.
Okay. Well, I guess probably let's start with the sensitive ones, because I gave each emotional wound a title, based on what I see is the most prevalent emotion that shows up. And when animals have, they're in the category called the sensitive ones, that means that they've experienced invasiveness somewhere in their backgrounds. and their person as well, of course. There's always
Yes.
that. And when there's been invasiveness, that's usually caused by either an over controlling person, or it can also be some type of abuse, and where somebody got in their energy field, where another energy kind of came in and kind of got all enmeshed in their energy field. So that can come through physical trauma, emotional trauma, and certainly through being over controlled or over loved. There is
Yes.
a thing, right? Yeah. And so when an animal is in the category being the sensitive one, these are the animals that don't have as strong as boundaries. And so they like to kind of stay, these are the kitties that are under the bed until they know it's safe to come out. And they're not under
Mhm.
there trembling like the ones with terror in their background, one of the other wounds. But the sensitive ones are feeling everything. They know these are the great if you're dating because they're going to tell you or not, this person that you're considering, when they come over, whether or not they're okay or not, because they feel everyone's energy because their boundaries are weaker. But
Yes.
and they call in people wanting to overlove them and carry them around and dress them up. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but really being in their stuff,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and but the important thing to remember is if you have a sensitive one animal is to, number one, accept it, meaning let them have their safe space. They're showing you how to do the same thing because maybe you aren't taking enough time for yourself to recharge and release as well. Yeah. And these are all the empaths and healers out there. The empaths are, have almost all had invasiveness on some level. And so, of course, they're going to call in a really sensitive animal as well. So the animal is kind of exhibiting behavior that says, hey, I need to meditate. I need to lie in the sun and move this out. I need to, do this and this and this for my well-being. And they're modeling a way of that we can be to help ourselves create a better inner wellness, atmosphere.
Yes. Understood. Love that.
Yeah. So the sensitive ones are, most healers, most people that might be they're animal lovers, because the sensitive one within people, they're going to gravitate more towards animals because they're safe.
Yes.
They're safer than people.
Yes. True. Not true. True.
A lot of times, if anybody's had abuse in their background, had some type of invasiveness, then they are probably wired more to allow in more animals, and partner with them.
Right. Yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's talk about abandonment, because certainly within animals,
yes,
that's the most prevalent wound we see, right? That's another one of the 5. Then maybe
it is.
There's betrayal, there's invasiveness, there's terror, there's we're on abandonment, and then there's detachment from self. So that's just kind of an overview of the 5. But getting back to abandonment, we know these animals well because these are the dogs. These are the ones that have separation anxiety, and they're the ones that are very needy. I call this profile the needy ones, because it's never enough, because they didn't get their needs met very early in their, puppyhood, kittenhood, whatever, right?
Right.
And so maybe their mother didn't nurse them, or they got taken away too early, which happens so often.
A lot.
Yeah. And so then they create this inner dynamic of going externally to get their needs met because they weren't allowed to nurse until they felt full and could detach on their own. And so when that happens, then they're like, there's not enough. So there's a lot of overweight animals that are in the needy ones, because it's never enough food.
Okay.
Never enough attention, and it's never enough support, right? Anybody who comes in the house, they're like, yeah, look at me. And they want all the attention in the world, and they'll just soak it up. And people will call that in, people with abandonment wounds will call in this animal. And it really serves that codependent relationship, certainly serves them both for some time. But a lot of times people will call and say, can you fix my animal because they're too needy and they're too detached and they have separation anxiety and I need independence. They're making me crazy, and and I always say, that this particular wound doesn't heal by focusing on one, for sure, that both of them have got to work on the abandonment wound together. Yeah. Have you ever seen this in any of your animals?
What's that?
Have you ever seen this in any of your animals?
Oh, yes. I'm going through so many stories in my head when you're talking.
I know I have. I know I have my most important ones because they serve such a purpose of helping me feel loved in a way that I didn't get my needs met early in my life.
Yes. The freshest in my mind right now is I just started working in an animal horse rescue, and there's so many different trauma effects from different animals, and it's so interesting to see how the caretakers are sort of weaving in and out of that and bringing them all back. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you for doing that. Yeah, a lot of abandonment at rescue organizations for sure.
Yes.
And those are the animals that frequently will get returned a lot. They'll go out and then they'll get abandoned again and abandoned again and abandoned again until they begin healing this wound with one of the people that adopts them.
They're not broken. They just need help healing from someone else who needs help healing, a human.
Yeah.
I love that you say that. That's it. We have to, they're like our soul partners.
Yes.
And they're here to teach us how to care for ourselves. And it's a tandem relationship. It's a symbiotic relationship, really, where they both benefit. That's amazing.
Yes. It's so true. I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's exactly what I believe. We are put together to heal together, to evolve together. There's so many different dimensions to our relationships with the animals that are in our life, if it's 5 minutes or if it's 20 years.
Yes.
There's a beautiful divine reason and purpose behind our coming together. So I'll talk about another one. So
please. Yeah.
So the other most prevalent is betrayal. And these, I'm going to focus on dogs a bit, just because it's really obvious to see when they've had betrayal, because these, I call this profile the protectors. And they're usually the ones that are at the fence, protecting the yard, protecting the house, protecting you, and how often do we hear as healers and communicators stories of, but the dog only does it when it's with me. Well, that would mean that there is a relationship around either you've got betrayal in your background, and or there's a part of yourself that was never protected as a child, that dog, then that animal is picking up on that, that your dog, as an example, would be protecting, and as soon as we embark upon a journey together around healing betrayal is the fastest way for them. But I mean, they can get kind of dangerous sometimes with the betrayal wounds, because they are reactors and
aggressive.
They can be, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they have a belief, their betrayal in the background, their belief is that the world is not safe, and that they need to be, the best defense is a good offense, and you have to always be on guard, and everything is kind of inflated and not realistic in their perceptions around who's really scary and who's not.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And so this particular animal really needs patience and detached love. And so they need to know they have a distorted wound somewhere in their psyche that says, I'm bad. And whenever there's an I'm bad distorted wound anywhere in the psyche, then they're going to be reiterating that. So these are the ones that are in the garbage, and these are the ones that are tearing things apart.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes. And doing things is like, yep, I'm bad. Yep, I'm bad. Some level.
Uh-huh.
Of their psyche is trying to live that out. And then that brings more attention that says from their person that says, you are bad. Yes, I agree.
Right. Bad dog. Yes. Okay.
So it's really important with these guys, if you have one of these in your house, be it whatever species it is, for you to detach a bit from going into the usual reaction and seeing them as good and telling them that they're good and knowing that and really allowing them to have the space to breathe in self-love and really staying grounded. These guys are always ungrounded because they hold their energy kind of at their upper back and the head because they're on guard to,
Okay. Yes.
protect. So you want to ground them, which means, lots of earth time, getting them outside, getting them to feel, let Mother Earth do what she does best and really get them feeling safe so that they know that they're good and they can release the trauma, of this past wound. It can be so rewarding when you see these guys begin to feel safe again and know and start interpreting things better. Because they've got every being, even the reactors, there's a reason why they're reactive, and they can have a lot of wounds in this life that created that sometimes are quite horrific, especially with the rescues.
Yes. And in your book, in reference to releasing trauma, I know you're just saying about being outside to allow them to be grounded. In your book, the Soul Healing with Our Animal Companions, you also talked about the importance of movement for them as well. Do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, really important for them to be walked or be played with. And again, Mother Earth is better for this than anyone, really getting them to move out this energy. If the person can do it with them, that's the double win. You really want that. And they'll also, especially with the reactors, they'll benefit from massage. If they'll let you massage their shoulders and just help them move out the energy.
Love that. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yay.
Okay, cool. So, how can we start healing these wounds? What's a good first step for us?
Yeah, it varies a little bit according to which wound it is.
Okay, yeah, you want to choose like maybe an example?
Yeah, well, with the, like I said, with the sensitive ones, you want to create a really safe place for them and allow them to be who they are. The sensitive ones are really teaching you about acceptance of yourself. So you want to give them, you want to not overrule them. These are the animals that's like, I know what she wants. She wants to lay up here, or she wants this. And I remember one of my first workshops that someone said that every single night they had a little tiny dog and they would bring the dog up on their bed. And so when she learned about about the protectors, she said, I went home last night and I asked her whether or not she really wanted to be on the bed. And she turned around and she walked out of the room.
I love it.
And she goes, I feel so badly. I've been putting her on the bed every night and she doesn't want to be there. And so she goes, I told her I lived her, but she was just like, she goes, her language was obvious. No, I don't want to be on the bed.
I'm out.
So we tend to think we know what they want. So it's like giving them a choice. And it takes them a while sometimes at first. These are the cats that is like inside or out, inside or out, inside or out, and they're like, well, I don't know what I want because you always told me what to do before. Just like a two-legged that's been over controlled, that has a hard time. It's like, I don't know who I am. I was doing was trying to please the parent. And so really learning to accept them where they are with the sensitive ones and allow them to be in their safe place and don't pull them out from under the bed so everybody can see how cute they are and think that that's a good way to socialize them. You want to give them space and invite them to come out if they want to. When I had a sensitive one, that's exactly what I did with him. And I remember in his last few years when people would come over, they would say, this is the most social cat I've ever seen. And I thought, oh my gosh, he spent 12 years under the bed. you know, and when he would peek out, you know, way when there would be people, you know, I'd say, "You're so brave, you're so courageous," and then he'd pop back out, and then he'd
I
get there.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have one of those cats. I have a cat that's like inside or out. I have two cats. One is like, he knows exactly what he wants. And the other one's like literally half his body in, half his body's out. And it really just depends on him. And definitely after enjoying your book, I've been encouraging him, like, you've got this, you've got this. I know, you know, like, I'm brave, I'm putting myself out there. You can do it too. You're ready. And, you know, some days he darts out after a little hesitation. Other days he's like, no, I want to stay inside and hang out. I'm like, that's fine. So I love that. Yes. Yes.
That's the best case scenario.
Yes. And I did promise him, like, when he started doing the in or out thing, like a year ago, that I would never like force him to go outside, because there was one time in a moment of frustration, I put my foot on his hindquarters to like scoot him out. He was so mad at me. And, you know, he just hissed at me and like bit my sock. And I was like, okay, I will never do that again. You're right. You're not ready. I'm sorry. And so he feels safe when I open the door. And I love that you're encouraging humans to pay more attention and really listen to what our animals want, and how we can nurture them, and really take a step back and see how that mirrors our own needs as well. Because certainly I definitely recognize that in my cat that's like inside or out. Like, I need to spend more time with myself, because I work with a lot of people, I work with a lot of animals, and sometimes I'm the last one on the back burner, you know. I know I need to care for myself too. And he's showing me that. So that's amazing. And do you want me to talk about my little testimonial after reading your book?
Yes.
Woo! Okay. So this book is amazing because Tammy really breaks things down. Tammy's written several books, but the book that we're talking about today is Soul Healing with Our Animal Companions. Tammy really breaks things down and makes it so digestible. And I can tell you, I'm an animal healer and a communicator and a people healer. And I've been doing this stuff for 25 years. And I've been having issues with my cats for the last year and a half. And I knew it was about me, but for me specifically, when I work on myself, I have emotional blocks and I'm like, okay, I can't be objective because it's me. And the way that Tammy breaks things down is very easy. And, you know, you got this. I absolutely had an aha moment after reading your book. And thank you so much. It's like,
wonderful.
Finally. Yeah. And it's instantaneous. Honestly, it's just like, oh yeah, duh. Why didn't I think of that? Okay. Thank you. I'm like making it so complicated, and it wasn't complicated at all.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you for saying that. I wrote it for you.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you shared that with us, because it's there's, like you said, there's so many animals that get abandoned or rehomed or whatever because there are issues. And as animal caretakers, it really is our responsibility to help them in the deepest way that we know possible. And really my hope for the summit and with your help is really just to help people understand there are bigger ways that we can help animals. And if we can understand them on a deeper level and give them more, and in turn give ourselves more, there'll be so many happy animals that have a forever home and feel loved and wanted. And less animals in the shelters is beautiful.
Oh, yes, exactly. I mean, when we can work on ourselves and we can just get to the higher purpose of what your animals' behaviors and ailments, even what they represent, what they're symbolizing for us, it can game changers. I mean,
Really,
in the heart of the relationship, you're going to raise it to a new frequency, and then you can never be the same again. You'll always be looking at their actions and your responses to them and saying, oh, what's in that for me? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience in reference to how we can deeper understand our animals, or any tools that you would like to impart on us?
Well, I think I think the number one thing is to always go to self-love. Self-love, and just take 5 minutes a day and sink into self-love. And when you can do that, and then just ask for an intention around maybe interpreting a situation with one of your animals, whether or not they have an ailment, if they have a behavior, whatever that is, take that into your meditation time and just bring it into your heart and connect to spirit through your heart, to your higher self, and just sink into it and ask, for that connection, because we always have this core detached heart connection with each one of our animals, and that holds the golden keys to what you're doing for your evolutionary journey as well. It's really fascinating. So
It really is.
5 minutes a day and just saying, I'm going to self-love, I'm going to connect to my animals heart to heart and ask for the higher intention and purpose of our relationship and our evolutionary partnership to evolve in the highest and best. Even if you just did that every single day, then you'll be seeing the higher purposeful actions in a new way.
That is amazing. Tammy, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. Now, can you please tell us, the audience wants to know, where can they find you? What is your website? How can they connect with you?
No, thank you for asking that. So my website is my name, TammyBillups.com. And
I'll have a link below.
Okay, good. And on there will be, all the master classes about these 5 core emotional wounds, and my other ones as well, and the book information too. So everything is a one-stop shop.
Yeah. So I'm going to have your website will actually be on this video as people are viewing it. And also there will be a type link below so people can just click on it, and we'll make it really easy for everyone who resonates with you to communicate with you and connect with you on such a deep level. I'm so grateful for your time today with us, Tammy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all that you do and for your presence here today. And yeah, have a beautiful, amazing day. Thank you for being part of the Pet Lovers Summit. We appreciate you.
Thank you.